Welcome back to the video. In today's video, we're going to talk about a cartridge I just don't really talk about much. One that's not my favorite, I think is extremely overhyped. And let's be honest, it has a very good nickname that it lives up to, the 6.5 Needsmore. And that's really going to be the subject of today's video. How to get more out of your 6.5 Creedmoor. So in today's video, we are going to talk about the best powders for velocity and accuracy for the 6.5 Creedmoor. All right, let's get this out of the way. As a reminder, the 6.5 Creedmoor is not a Magnum, so let's not treat it like one. Using these slower Magnum burning powders, you are not going to get as good as accuracy, and you are definitely going to be really slow. So don't use H4831SC or Vitavori N560 or, heaven forbid, any of the slower Vitavori powders, and especially don't use H1000. These are all wonderful powders for Magnums. All right, I've opened up the good old Hornady reloading book, and specifically I want to talk about the good and the best powders for 6.5 Creedmoor in hunting applications. So it's going to be typically with a 22-inch barrel, and we're going to be using bullets from, well, let me show you. We're going to start with a 120 grain, then I'll show good powder for 130 grain, and finally for a 140 class grain bullet. And I'll just tell you right now, Hornady's giving you a lot of options, but not all of them are good. I see 11 powders here. I would recommend 5 of them. And it probably is only going to get worse as we go with heavier bullets, that the percentage-wise of what I would actually recommend. So this should be an interesting one. All right, we're going to pull up Gordon's reloading tool, put in the 6.5 Creedmoor. We are going to put in with a 22-inch barrel. This is for mostly hunting. We're going to try the Nosler ballistic tip of 120 grain. And then we're just going to use Vitavori N550. If there was 3 powders to use for 6.5 Creedmoor, N550 is one of the 3. And you're just going to get blazing fast velocities, even in a 22-inch barrel. Check that out. At 65,000 PSI, we are probably around 3,055 feet per second. And what's important when using the right powder is your burnt propellant and your load ratio. You want your burnt propellant to have 100% all the time from, I would say, probably 55,000 PSI up to 65,000 PSI. And then you want your load ratio, ideally, I would like it over 95%. So as you can see, N550 is just about 98%. Really awesome option for 6.5 Creedmoor. All right, real quick, I just want to go through all the good and great powders for 6.5 Creedmoor, 120 grain, ballistic tip, or a Hornady bullet, whatever you want. We're going to go with the good powders first. N540, top velocity of 2985 with a 22-inch barrel. That's the case fill, 92%. So why it's good and not great is the lower case fill. IMAR 4064, it does work, 2930 feet per second, but only 90% case fill. Lastly, Varget. Varget's such a good powder. 3,015 feet per second, so it's smoking fast, but only 91% case fill. It's a little fast burning. That's why it's only in the good. Let's get to the great. IMAR 4350, 2990 feet per second, 101 case fill. Awesome. H4350. You're going to be seeing this powder a lot. It's going 3,042 feet per second with a 120 grain, 95% case fill. Really good. And as you know, I just mentioned N550, top velocity around 3,055, 98% case fill. Lastly, N150. You're not going to get as much velocity, but it's a really good powder with 99% case fill. We're back to GRT again. We're going to go up to a 130 grain class bullet, but we're going to use the Barnes 127 grain LRX in this example. And the powder we're going to use, this is another favorite powder for 6.5 Creedmoor, top 3 best powder for 6.5 Creedmoor, Hodgdon's H4350. And let's just check out what kind of velocities you're getting close to 65,000 PSI. We're getting almost 2950 feet per second, which is really good for a 130-ish grain class bullet. Obviously getting 100% burnt propellant, and the load ratio is pretty darn good and up there. In fact, I would say it's probably more than 94%. Gordon's reloading tool isn't the most precise with hydrogen powder's load ratio. Yeah. If you're not using H4350 in your 6.5 Creedmoor, what are you doing? Okay, let's look at the 127, 130 grain class bullets for the good powder. It's really similar, just N540 and Varget. These are the velocities you're getting. N540 is a little fast burning to get really good velocities. And then 91% case fill. Varget gets you a little faster velocity, about the same case fill. Then when we go down to the great powders, H4350, 2940 feet per second, 95% case fill. N550, 2950, 97% case fill. IMR 4350, it's a little on the slower side, but really good case fill. And then lastly, N150, 2860, which is kind of slow, but really good case fill. All right, finally, we're getting to probably the most popular bullet weight and most likely the most popular hunting bullet in 6.5 Creedmoor, the 143 grain ELDX. And I'm going to surprise you guys with a real boomer powder that just works in 6.5 Creedmoor. We're going to look at IMR 4350. It's not going to be the fastest. I will show you in a second what powders will get you the fastest velocities, but this is just a powder that's going to have a really high load ratio and 100% burnt propellant, and it just works. So we're topping out of a velocity probably around 2740 feet per second. So we are just a little over 65,000 PSI. So back it off about 5 feet per second. And, you know, it's not too shabby in a 22-inch barrel. Lastly, 140 class grain bullets. This is 140, 142, 143. I still think you can use Varget decently well. It is definitely a little fast burning, meaning we're going to be kind of low on the case fill. But you're getting decent velocity, 2760 feet per second. It's pretty good with a 140 grain. I haven't really talked about Alliant powders, but might as well mention them. Reloader 15, kind of the same story, a little fast burning. It's still pretty good. Okay, on to the great IMR 4350. This boomer powder just doesn't go away, and it's really good for 6.5 Creedmoor. 2740 feet per second, 99% case fill. H4350, surprise, surprise, nearly 2,800 feet per second with a 22-inch barrel and 93% case fill. N555. I haven't mentioned this one yet. It's a little slower burning than like N550, but it's a really good powder. 2780 feet per second, 102% case fill. This is one of Eric Cortina's favorite powders. N550, of course, 2800, 96% case fill. And then the slow one, but the real accurate one, N150, 2700 feet per second, 97% case fill, and Reloader 16. Really fast, good case fill. Yeah, if you can get it, it's an amazing powder. All right, so I've been hinting at the best 3 powders for 6.5 Creedmoor, and I've already mentioned H4350 and N550. If you want precision and just extremely good velocity in a 6.5 Creedmoor, those 2 are the ones to get. Now, if you don't care near as much about the velocity, you just want bug hole groups, Vitivory N150 just shoots small. All of these will shoot extremely well. It is a 6.5 Creedmoor after all, but hopefully this can help you. For those that are getting into it or for whatever reason aren't finding the precision you want or the velocity you want, this is it. Thanks guys so much for watching. Please leave a comment. If you guys enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, please subscribe.